Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Times Radical. Today, on this episode, we're going to be adjusting cannon pinion. So, the cannon pinion is friction fit onto the minute wheel, and it's used as a clutch between setting the time of the hands and actually displaying the time. So in this case, the cannon pinion feels way too loose when I'm in the setting position. And I've done everything on the watch. The watch is completely overhauled. And this is something that you don't really catch until the end of the overhaul, because when you clean the movement, you disassemble the cannon pinion first, because you don't want that cannon pinion on the movement when you put the movement in the cleaning machine, or else all the old oil will dry up, and sometimes it's really hard to remove the cannon pinion after the watch has been cleaned. So you will never really get an accurate test of how tight the cannon pinion is until the watch is fully overhauled and reassembled, and then you snap that cannon pinion back on and you see what the tension is like. In this case, it's loose, so what that means is that the watch could be running, but the cannon pinion could be slipping, and the minute hand is pressed onto the cannon pinion, so the minute hand might not track, especially during the time of the day where the date flips. Now there's a little dimple in between, right in the middle of the cannon pinion, which is where you control the friction fit. That's where you crimp down on the pinion. So I have a few angles here that you can check out. Hopefully you get a good one. And that's the place where we're going to be crimping today. So I have some handmade stumps and pushers just for this occasion. And we got some live action with the Oilers rolling away. So we break out the Horia tool, and you don't have to use this type of stump and pusher set to do this. You can use a staking set and get 2 stakes with screwdriver heads like this. You can use even nail clippers if you want to be bold. It's a lot harder to get the control, but you can do that. This Horia tool is my favorite. You get a lot of control. And I actually made these just a little bit too short so they don't fully clamp down on each other. So that's kind of good, because I'll never actually pinch the cannon pinion too tight. Sometimes you can actually sever the pinion in half. So there's definitely a touch to doing this. So here we are, nice and lined up. So now you place your cannon pinion right between the jaws. Make sure the jaws are lined up. Cannon pinion straight. Let's get a closer look. Just for fun. And you could use a set of hand broaches as a safety measure, you slip the broach through the cannon pinion to make sure that when you clamp down on it, that you don't clamp down all the way and sever the pinion. I usually want to use a 4-sided broach. Those are a little bit more rare. Or you could use a round broach. It's a little bit harder. Or you could just have a sense of touch and know when you've gone too far. Yeah. So you twist the top of the tool. And the cannon pinion gets pinched. And you could see it's got a little bit of a bow tie angle now, where it's pinched at the center. So that'll give us a nice friction fit. Hopefully not too tight. If the cannon pinion is too tight, you could shred your setting wheels. And if it's too loose, then you won't be able to track the time. And if you don't have a stop seconds hack, you might have trouble setting your watch to the seconds. But this is basically how it's done. Now we just clean her off. Use some Rodico to clean off the cannon pinion. Now we can get a closer look at our work, see how accurate we were. We pinched down right where it was crimped previously. Nice clean job. And when done properly, you can really get a good feel for the setting position when you're actually winding and setting your watch. Feels very good when the cannon pinion tension is just right. Now we've got to reinstall. I'm going to oil the minute pinion with some grease and press that cannon pinion on. This is very simple, very straightforward, very common part of the watch to look after. Now, in order to install that cannon pinion without crushing the teeth of the minute wheel, you want to just place it on gently. get a good look, and you want to try and line up those teeth. You could take the whole setting mechanism off, reinstall the cannon pinion, then do the minute wheel second. But this is easy enough. Get the cannon pinion on there. And then you want to slowly push it down onto the minute wheel without crushing the teeth. And if the teeth don't mesh right away, you can go into the setting position and turn the teeth of that minute wheel until they're lined up properly with the cannon pinion. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Lightly press down that cannon pinion and slowly turn the minute wheel. And then when they line up, press the cannon pinion down all the way. Now we check to make sure that the tension isn't too tight. And we have enough tension when setting the watch to feel confident that the display will track properly. Thanks again for watching, and remember, keep it radical. Time's radical.